Hi everyone, it's Vinod from GrowWealth here. Let's look at the market update and weekly watch list analysis. Hope everyone is doing well. Let me start by screening my share. And just the usual disclosure as it goes by, don't buy or sell any stock just based on what you hear here. Do your own due diligence. Investing carries some risk. Your money can go up or down depending on how the market performs. We talk about stock ideas, technical analysis here. These are not specific buy or sell recommendations. You do your own kind of analysis and risk management based on what you learned on our website. So let me share the screen. For the ease of watching it later on YouTube, use 1.25 speed because I tend to speak a little bit slower to explain things. I'll try to speed up, but for ease of hearing, maybe use 1.25 for better performance. So this chart is the call ratio. Let me show you with the line graph because that explains it better. So the green and red line are overtly kind of risky kind of sentiment. So it clearly describes what the sentiment of the market is. If the put call ratio is above 1, that's the level I'm using. That's the sense the market is expecting more downside, and a lot of people are buying puts option to protect their downside. If it is less than 80, a lot of people are bullish about the market, and they are buying call options, expecting more upside to the market. So this indicator, the put call ratio, is a contrarian indicator. The more bearish this indicator is, which is above 1, and as you can see previously at the coronavirus low, it went all the way up to 1.25 and 1.8 as well at some point. Then it gets, it kind of defines that the market bottom is nearby, is close by. If it gets extremely bullish, it goes down because a lot of people are buying call options, and that is a reversal indication from and maybe an interim top. So a couple of weeks ago, there was a bearish sentiment that went above 1, went all the way to 1.4, and intraday it went higher as well. So this is the close of the weekly time scale. It doesn't reflect the intraday kind of bearish sentiment. So it was a bit bearish, meaning the market could reverse, and it did reverse, and it came quite close, quite quickly to 0.85. So it's still above 0.8. It's not extremely bullish, but some of the stocks are extended, but it shows it's neutral at this point. So the stock pattern is likely to, you can be a little bit more confident in starting to dip your toe in the market. So it's not too exuberant and not too bearish at this point. So that's what it signifies. Let's now look at the major indices. So I have lots of annotations here. Let me go with hiding the annotations just with the moving averages, and I'll take you through that. So I hope you can see with my screen blocking some of those areas. So I hope you can see that. So this is S&P 500 weekly chart. It tested the 21-week moving average and nicely moved, bounced above the 21 and the 8-week moving average. So this is a nice kind of setup, finding some bottom here, finding some support, and trying to resume its uptrend. If you go to the daily, this is one of the strong looking chart among the indices. So it's well above the 50 and all the key moving indicators. Back on the 4th of October, it set a new low from this pullback, and it hasn't retested that, it hasn't breached that, and then followed through really nicely in the subsequent weeks. The next one is, this is Nasdaq, and on this day is the low, so that's the rally day. And on this day, the Thursday, the 14th October, it 1.88 and on higher volume. So this is more reflective on the QQQ, which is the ETF for Nasdaq 100, and that shows the higher volume than the previous day and gain of 1.84%. And that is a follow-through day, according to the IBD investors.com definition. So that kind of signifies that the interim low might be in, and the market is following through to the upside. Not all follow-through day works, but there is no bull market that can be established without a follow-through day. So we did have a follow-through day in Nasdaq on Thursday, the 14th of October, which is real positive. It hasn't crossed this high, but we did have a higher high. So this high has been breached, and we have a higher low as well at this point. So the market sentiment has turned from real bearish to neutral to bullish at this point, because the indices are above the 50-day moving average. The T line, the 8-day moving average and 21-day moving average are still below the 50 line. We would like to see that aligned in the right direction, but right now it is really positive. Looking at the weekly, as you can see here, similar to S&P 500, the QQQ, which is the Nasdaq ETF, has also found some support at 21 EMA and closed well above the 8-weekly EMA on the weekly chart. And it's if the market continues upwards and gets more kind of strength, it's likely to resume further uptrend. Moving on, this is the, excuse me. So this is the Dow Jones Industrial Moving Averages, and similar to the other indices, it also found support around 21 EMA, weekly EMA, and you can see the support from this zone has acted as a support here and pushed nicely up last week to the about the 8-week EMA. Looking really positive on the daily as well. Moving on, this is the Nyfc Composite Index. Let me add the name here so you know what I'm talking about as well. There you go. So New York Stock Exchange Composite Index, and it has quite a lot of growth stocks in it, and that has reached really close to its all-time high here. Not quite there yet, but very close to its all-time high. Just in 1 week, it gained 2% more, and that is again strong indications and strong strength, showing strong strength for the growth stocks. This is the IWM, which is the Russell 2000. It's still going in the sideways section within the trading range. On Friday, it didn't close well. There's it gapped up, and then sellers came in with high volume. So this is not as strong as some of the other indices, major indices are. So the mid cap, that's the Russell 2000, and the small cap, like S&P 600, they have similar setup. So they did not close very well on Friday, but the major indices, S&P 500, Nasdaq, and Dow Jones New York Composite Index, they are real strong. The next one is Bitcoin. Bitcoin has done really well, gaining 11% in just 1 week. And as it stands now, the week hasn't finished because it closes on the Sunday night. As it stands now, it is at all-time high close, as if it closes somewhere here. And Ethereum is not too different. It gained about 12% in the week, but it hasn't reached the all-time high yet. But they are really strong. So cryptocurrency market is doing well. Moving on to other stocks, Fizz. It gave a doji week. I think this is the weekly chart as well. It gave a doji week, but on daily, it had a bearish engulfing candle on higher volume than previous. So that is something that I'm keeping a close watch on. I am invested in this stock. I'm trading this based on the technical setup. I will see if 8 and 21-day EMA holds, because previously it had acted as a support here. So I would be expecting it finds some support, but if it breaks, then I might try to kind of limit my losses. But so far it hasn't broken yet. On the weekly, it's still nicely above the key moving averages. So it moved a little bit too quickly from this low. I need to consolidate a little bit and then move up after that. UPSD has been a real monster stock. So a lot of people have invested, our members, in the stock, and also we also have this in our VIP real money portfolio, where we talk about the exact entry signal and how to manage the stop loss and exit points. I am invested in this as well. So it is a real strong growth stock. So right there, when it broke out of this high, it never looked back and continues to go up after the earnings gap up here. Soon it went over 100%, and then it kind of went sideways for 2 or 3 weeks, setting up a high tide flag, and when it broke out of that high tide flag, it immediately moved within a week 20%. So that shows incredible strength, and this has all the characteristics of a monster stock. So on the weekly, if you look at this, so it took some heat off, steam off the kind of move, and then found support around 8-week moving average and resumed its uptrend with higher volume. The earnings are coming up in a couple of weeks' time, but as it stands now, as it is on the weekly, it is a real strong setup. It indicates more upside to come. On the daily, though, it looks a little bit extended, but increasing volumes are coming up. There's the doji on Friday, so something to watch. It may kind of pull back to the 8-day moving average and then resume further, which would be nice. But on the weekly, it is quite strong. Affirm, sitting at the IPO top, nice follow through after this gap up, and further real strong good news came up, which continued to increase the stock over 100% within a matter of few weeks. This is a fantastic setup. It's a little bit extended for my liking, but high volumes are coming up. So institutional investors are investing. Would like to see a little bit of consolidation to give a better stop loss range and risk management strategy and further move up. But the earnings, the holiday season coming up, a firm is likely to gain a lot in the next quarter. Moving on. Apps, APPS. It had a strong move last year, went sideways consolidation, and then resuming its uptrend with high volume coming up on the right side of the base. The daily, slightly bit extended with a couple of doji candles there, inverted hammer. So it might kind of pull back a little bit, consolidate around the, find some support around this level mark, this top and 8-day moving average. It'll be nice to, it'll be healthy and strong to see some consolidation to this level and then resume its uptrend. I have a position in apps just for disclosure. Netflix, this is one of the FANG stock. It broke about this kind of few months, over a year consolidation zone and had a strong up move over the last couple of months. It didn't gain last week, but it's quite still strong. It's digesting some of the gains it did over the last couple of months. Still about the T line, so it is still very strong. So if you're in the stock, it's better to hold because it's still kind of in the upward direction about the key moving averages. Moving on, APP, Applovin. It first at its all-time high price, breaking above this previous high and well above the IPO top here, which acted as support and then pushed higher the last couple of weeks is with increasing volume. So the first week, 15% gain on higher volume. That's the highest volume since the IPO. And then it's nice to see further 6% move on higher volume than average. And that shows a lot of big money is coming to the stock. So it's nice to see that fall through. Daily, and you can see it gapped up and continuously going up. It'll be nice to see a bit of consolidation, giving another entry point because I bought in this stock, but half my position, I would like to add a little bit more once it consolidates and sets up another entry point. Net, Cloudflare, this is the cybersecurity company, which is a fantastic growth stock. So it had a wonderful move last year, sideways action until June this year, and then once it broke out, it kind of exploded. And one scary week with high volume, but the 21-week moving average acted as support, and then it bounced like a kind of water ball under the water. It just bounces off. So that shows strength and ever-increasing volume on both weeks. So this is a fantastic setup. I'd like to add to the stock if it kind of comes down a little bit to the T lines, consolidates, and gives another entry setup. I bought into this stock. I have a long-term position, but I also bought in a little bit around this level. So this is acting really nicely, and both UPSD and NET gave our watchlist boosted our watchlist performance, each gaining over 20% in just 1 week. JAMF. So this is the highest weekly flows ever in the stock history. This is the IPO week, but this is highest close, so that is strong. If you draw a trend line, resistance line here that broke out this week, that again is really strong. What I would like to see is a couple of more days of sideways action so that the moving average catches up, and further upside, giving us a good entry point if we want to get into this stock. LOB, the bank share, doji week last week, and then further up more today. Last week, sorry, doji the previous week, and then further up more this week, confirming the continued bullish action. So as you can see, kind of went sideways, furthermore, went sideways, further up more. So it's kind of taking its time, and it's really showing a very, very healthy action. It's not exuberant, it's not overextended, because it's kind of nicely hugging the 8-day moving average, and this is the weekly chart, which is the price is not quite at the all-time high, but very close to, and higher volumes are coming back to this stock again. JP Morgan had a bit of a distribution day, high volume selling, but it's still about the key moving averages. It came down, but Thursday and Friday found support at 50-day moving average and closed well above the T line. So it's likely to continue its uptrend going forward. So those are the main 10 stocks that we had in our watch list. But last week in our members watch list, I also shared 8 bonus shares, bonus stocks that didn't cut to the main 10 watch list stocks, but I'm also watching those 8 stocks as a secondary list. So let's quickly see those secondary list stocks as well. SI, this is in the cryptocurrency sector. It's kind of taking some time off to consolidate that gain last week. On the daily, as you can see, it's kind of going nicely sideways, still well above the key moving averages. Earnings coming up on the 19th, so that's something to watch. But if you zoom out, this top is likely to be broken out depending on the earnings reaction. But if it did, that could be a good entry point. That might signal another uptrend. Google found support at 21 weekly, closed well above the 8 weekly. On the daily, as you can see, it's about the key moving averages. A little bit extended, I'd like to kind of see a little bit of consolidation before it moves further up. Amber, real strong setup. Is this the weekly? No, that's the weekly. This level broke out here and continuous strength since then with great volumes coming up, and it's likely to gain further up more. Let's see, on the monthly, as you can see, that it broke out just last month at this level, 128 on high volume. So this shows strength, and it's likely to go further up. What I would like to see is that it kind of consolidates a little bit because of this bearish candle there. I'd like to see a little bit of consolidation, giving a better entry point if you want to trade. LC, nearly 12% move last week with increasing volume for 2 consecutive weeks and closing at multi-year high. So real strong chart, likely to have further up more. Open, so it's nicely kind of progressing in its uptrend above key moving averages, and key moving averages are in the right setup. 8 above 21 above 50 weekly moving averages, and high volumes coming back to the stock. Slightly bit extended on the daily with a couple of red days. It's likely to kind of come back and retest the key moving averages, or the consolidates to the sideways where the moving averages catches up before it resumes further up more, which is likely. 26, 27 area is likely to act as an immediate support, resistance. Moving on, Coupon. I spoke about this as one of the IPO stock that I'm watching. I also initiated a position last week, expecting a bounce from this. I believe this was sold off thinking it's a Chinese stock. It's not a Chinese stock, it's a South Korean stock. And it's tried to resume its uptrend here, pushed back down, but then found support around the previous support. It did not undercut it, so that low still is valid, and it's trying to find some support here and moving up. I think it's likely to resume its bounce from here on, but moving above and staying above the 21-day EMA is likely to prove giving more confidence. So it's still well below all the key moving averages. So this is not a usual setup that I will trade, but I'm trading this for a bounce. Royal Dutch Shell. The oil companies are doing rather well, and Shell continues its weekly uptrend with high volumes coming up. If you move sideways, so there's a bit of resistance around 2000 level, but that's another 10% above. So it's a little bit extended. Let's see how it acts, but nice bullish action on the stock. Palo Alto Network, high volume, continues week after week after week after this bullish breakout, and it continues to show strength in this action. And on the daily as well, after this gap up, it's nicely using the T line and the 21-day moving average as its support. Earnings coming up in a month's time. So I hope it makes some sense. Market has turned upwards. Market has turned upwards, showing strong bullish action. It can reverse again, but the follow-through day is a key on Thursday. If the follow-through day low is undercut, you have to be, of course, cautious. If the previous low is undercut, then every bullish sentiment is off the table. You'd have to be really defensive. But right now, don't plunge into it. That's not a great advice. If that is follow-through day, market is bullish, start to gradually ease into the market and let the market prove itself to you. There are some bullish setups. Majority of our watchlist stocks are acting really well. There are a few other setups also coming up with some new IPOs. Look out for it. Stay on the relative strength stocks. Play it safe. I hope this video was helpful. Happy learning and successful investing. I see you in our next video. Goodbye.